Hey everyone, we are just a week away from Jedi Survivor coming out. I'm so excited for this game. When I played Jedi Fallen Order, I hadn't been that much into Star Wars for a while. I hadn't seen the Clone Wars, and I hadn't really watched any of the movies since the prequels. The game actually came out the same week that The Mandalorian first premiered in 2019, and so that got me, as well as a lot of the world, back into Star Wars in a big way. If you have not played the first game, there will be some spoilers in here, so if you're planning on playing that, maybe skip this video for now. But if you're not a gamer, I promise to make this video interesting for you nonetheless. And so when I replayed Jedi Fallen Order, I just kept thinking, man, I wish I could experience this for the first time as the Star Wars fan that I am now, and I feel like Jedi Survivor is going to be that, and so I am more hyped for this game than any other upcoming Star Wars project, and I can't believe that it's almost finally here. This first figure is the Jedha Patrol Stormtrooper with the backpack removed, giving it the look of the Stormtrooper commander that we see in the game. Next we have K2SO from Rogue One. I did do some dry brushing on this to make him look a little bit more metallic. And by the way, these Hexagon Stands, I always get questions about them. I did design them. They are available to download on my Patreon if you would like to 3D print them, or you can buy them already printed at the link below. Next we have this 2020 Stormtrooper. It's hard to have too many Stormtroopers on your shelf, so if you ever need to fill some negative space, they work in almost any era, and we have a spot up here that I want to stick a Stormtrooper on. Next we have the Night Brother Archer. If you've played the game, these guys live on Dathomir. They are the same species as Darth Maul, as you can obviously see, and I like the color of this. It adds some of that earthy tone that we see not only on Dathomir but in the game overall. This obviously is a repaint of the training Darth Maul figure, and then we also got another Night Brother that we'll see in a little bit. They're getting good use out of that body. By the way, if you like my vibe, please subscribe. I didn't mean for that to rhyme, but I do Black Series videos all the time, and oh my god, I swear I did not mean for all of that to rhyme. Anyway, this is the Stormtrooper. Rocket firing, whatever. It's a new gaming grades figure. We're moving on. So I'm using this Stormtrooper here for scale, but this is the Black Series probe droid, which in the game, I feel like the probe droids are a little bit smaller. It's hard to tell the exact scale here, but that Black Series one just feels way oversized. So this is one that actually came with a vintage collection scale Darth Vader figure, and I just think it looks a little bit more like the size that I see in my head for the probe droids, and I think it just fits better on the shelf without being so distractingly large. We're getting into major spoiler territory here, so look away if you want to experience the story, but one of the big reveals in the game was Darth Vader, and I think it would be more than appropriate to have him on the shelf here. So I'm gonna go with my absolute favorite 6-inch Vader, which is the Mayfex Rogue One Vader. This unfortunately goes for about $200. We have been seeing some re-releases of rare and expensive import figures, such as the Figuarts Return of the Jedi Vader and Revenge of the Sith Anakin, also from Figuarts. I don't know that Mayfex has done a re-release of a figure ever, but I hope they re-release this one because it is in high demand, and I would love for a lot more people to be able to have this figure. So one of the coolest parts in Jedi Fallen Order is you get to play through Order 66 from the perspective of Padawan Cal Kestis, and you are surrounded by these really beautiful 13th Battalion yellow clones that I really loved the design when I saw them. They are my favorite looking clone. This is probably the first time that I was like truly excited to get a clone figure. I don't have a lot of attachment to the clones, but I just think that the body on this is really nice and the color is perfect. He's gonna go right here next to Vader, just give a little pop of color over to that section. And then this is a custom Jaro Tapal that I made using Izeb Aurelius Black Series figure and a Mortal Kombat figure. I have a little bit of this on my Instagram story. It's mostly just a repaint. It's not super accurate, but to me, I think a clean looking figure is better than having one that's totally screen accurate. So I didn't want to do a ton of sculpting, and when I look at that figure, I see Jaro Tapal. I think it's better to have a figure that really feels like the essence of the character and looks nice and clean and like a real figure rather than one that is screen accurate if it involves a lot of custom sculpted parts. This is the original Purge Trooper, which was going for like almost $100 at one point. They re-released it and made it much easier to get. So this is the original Night Brother. I did do some dry brushing on the axe to make it look more metallic, and I added those two little white dots on his eyes to look a little bit more like they do in the game with the glowing eyes. So here we have my custom ATST pilot. That was a Bodhi Rook body with a couple other parts. And what's really cool in the game, when you defeat an ATST, it'll collapse onto the ground and the pilot will crawl out of the top, and then you have to fight him as well. I think I used Antok Merrick for the lower legs and arms, so this figure is a little bit short, like if we compare it to the Night Brother, which is already kind of a short figure. But, you know, short guys can be ATST pilots too. We're gonna stick him right here on the shelf. This is one of my favorite customs that I've done. I have it on display almost all the time in my Empire area. The K2 security droids were pretty difficult to fight in the game, but they were really fun as well. And so I was happy happy to see that they will be coming back for the second game. Looks like we get a little bit of a variation here in the color as well as some of the accessories and weapons that this comes with. So this has the backpack, which is a new sculpt, and then the electro baton that we saw with some of the scout troopers in previous releases. And this is such a tall figure, so I'm going to put it on the lower stand here. That's the nice thing I like about these Hexagon stands. You can stagger height a little bit. It also helps disguise when figures are a little bit too short or too tall compared to each other, like when you're mixing Figuarts and Black Series. This is the Gaming Grades Purge Trooper that was released later down the line from the original Purge Trooper. It's got the all black design and the little bits of pink detail there on the electro baton. We've got the Scout Trooper now with some custom work here. I did add that orange pauldron from another, I think one of the Sand Trooper Black Series figures, and this hand here on the right hand is new. I think just having that open hand really brings in some of that energy of how the character moves in the game when you are fighting it. And other than the head sculpt, I think that the hands convey the most emotion in the figure when posing it, so it would be cool to see more alternate hands coming with the Black Series. One of the villains in Jedi Fallen Order is the second sister here. She doesn't come with a head sculpt. That would be nice to see. I hope that Fetclone or one of the other amazing customizers does a head sculpt for Trilla at some point. But as one of the main bad guys in the game, she's going to go right here in the front. One of the weirder scenes in Fallen Order, you are piloting an AT-AT and Saw Gerrera just jumps out of nowhere and lands on your windshield. I don't know where he came from, but he does guide you through a few missions with one obvious difference to his Rogue One look, which is of course his hair, or lack thereof. So thanks to Fetclone for doing this amazing head sculpt and painting this. I will have him linked below, but I think this just looks so amazing. This is the body that I weathered on my YouTube channel in case you want to see how I did that. But I love being able to have a second version of Saw Gerrera on my shelf, and because I love the look of this head sculpt so much, he is going right here in the front. I'm going to put him on the lower Hexagon stand here, just to bring him down a little bit since he is so tall. Next we have the Riot Scout Trooper, which is a re-release of the Scout Trooper that we got in the original Jedi Fallen Order packaging, this time with the shield, which is a new piece, and it does have that translucent orange piece. Really nice looking addition. Definitely not a must-have, but if you want to flesh out your Jedi Fallen Order shelf, I think it's a pretty good figure. It is really cool to see the addition of the B1 battle droid in Jedi Survivor, and it was also really cool seeing some battle droids in The Mandalorian. I grew up with The Phantom Menace and playing games like Jedi Power Battles back in the late 90s, I guess early 2000s. And so seeing all of these prequel and Clone Wars droids is just so nostalgic, and I think they know exactly what they're doing. For all of us that grew up with those games, the slicing through droids with a lightsaber just will always be so much fun. So I'm excited to see and fight these battle droids in Jedi Survivor. I hate fighting these flame troopers in the game, but I absolutely love this figure. I don't know why, this has just always been one of my favorite Black Series figures of all time. It is a lot of reuse from the Snow Trooper, but I just love the little additions that they gave, that little bit of maroon on the helmet and the backpack. Something about this design I'm just a really big fan of. We need to talk about Cal Kestis now, the main character. So this is Cal Kestis from Jedi Fallen Order with a Fetclone head, some of the original Cal Kestis releases, and then Cal from Jedi Survivor all the way on the right. I definitely want to use one of these two. I really love the poncho look. I used a Marvel Legends Jonah Jameson hand for the open hand there with the holocron in it, and I did do a lot of dry brushing on the body, and then I did some dark washing and dry brushing on the Jedi Survivor body as well, but the face is just not there. I do have a head sculpt coming from Fetclone, but in the meantime, I'm going to pop the head off of the Jedi Survivor and put on this Fallen Order one. I still think it looks better than the one that comes on it. It's a little big, I think, and the skin tone doesn't exactly match, but I think on the shelf, at least for now, it's going to look fine until I get that new Fetclone head in hand, and then I'll probably match the skin tone on the arms and the neck. And Cal, being the main character, of course, needs to go right here in the middle. I really hope he comes to live action pretty soon. We've got a couple little additions left. We got this little bogling. In the game, you can go back to one of the earlier worlds later in the game and access a new area and pick up this little guy who will then live on your ship for the rest of the game, which is pretty cool. And then we've got some BDs here. The BD that comes with the new Cal Kestis is the same sculpt. I did a custom paint job to the one on the left, and then some dark wash on the one on the right, just to make it look a little bit more weathered instead of the clean plastic look right out of the box. But I'm gonna put the white one on display here. I like it to kind of match the standard look in the game. Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor looks like it's gonna have such amazing customization, but I find myself always playing with the default skin because I want my character to match the action figure that's on my shelf. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you caught that little animation at the beginning of the video. It was my first time doing stop motion animation with a Star Wars figure, and so I was pretty happy with the way that turned out. Go back and watch that if you missed it. If you give this video a like, it really helps me out. Here are some other videos that you might enjoy away from my channel. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.